I was looking through all of our members lists, and it's all like CEO, COO, founder, owner, like it's all these people with like all these titles. So I think that a lot of people just have a lot of different things going on. So it's great. So I'm gonna record this and we're gonna start now just so a lot of people check the videos afterwards.
Yeah,
Um,
I get that.
so I know, Beth, it's late where you are, so I will let you go first. But before we get right into the nominations, I want to share. So you might have seen some of the communications. We were featured on a Grapevine podcast, right? Because of our last donation went to a group called Fabric, and they invited us onto their podcast. So I've got about a 3-minute clip that I just want to play from the podcast that is them explaining the receipt of our donation and how it helped them. And I just wanted to share that little story with everyone who watches this a little
That'd be
later.
great. I'd love to see it.
So I'm going to make sure my audio is on. Okay, hold on one second. Okay, and you guys let me know if you can hear the audio when it starts, okay? And you can see this screen? No?
I did, but then it went away.
Right, same.
Okay, hold on. Okay. Let me know if you can hear the audio.
Wow. Well, so now your organization was the beneficiary of a grant from this Giving Circle. Can you give us a little bit of insight into how you are leveraging that grant and what impact it's going to have on your programs?
So this is Sherry. I'll jump in by first of all saying that we found out about the grant as a complete surprise, and we got this email saying that we had been awarded a grant fund, and we didn't know from who or how much, but we were just absolutely thrilled. And the reason that we were thrilled is we don't really get a lot of funding support. Most of the support that we get is us being scrappy and trying to figure out how to fund all the things we're doing. And we really, even Angela was talking about the mission, which is helping the entrepreneurs, but we have a much bigger vision that we're making a lot of progress on that more goes to the sustainability that we were talking about for the whole entire industry. But we got notice of this fund, and then we started to learn about the amount and who it was from. And to be quite honest, at the time, we were struggling with an operational budget gap to even be able to fund our payroll. And all of a sudden we get this grant and we're able to fund our payroll. And sometimes we write out personal checks to make our bills. So it's the kind of thing that allows you then to be able to take a deep breath and refocus on exactly what you're doing. And the timing of this came right at the time that we were sponsoring Eco Fashion Week, which is something we do annually, and we have a week-long event. But this particular Fashion Week for 2024 involved a global summit of people coming together. When I say people, it's overseas manufacturers, nearshore manufacturers, onshore manufacturers, advanced equipment people who work in the industry, technology companies, brands, academia, investment people. And it's around this already well thought out idea that's on our website. We'll tell people where to go, around an eco fashion park, which is just really the name for a circular fashion supply chain for the industry that can be scaled and remodeled, that really takes the waste out of the system. And the reason that it can do that is because it optimizes order quantities based on demand, instead of just filling giant POs and kind of making a bet on what you think is going to sell and missing it 30% of the time, which is why we have all the waste. So we had all these people in here for the global summit, and our organization was facilitating that. We funded most of it. And so this grant came right at that time when we really, really, really needed help to do this big thing. It was perfect.
So that was it. I just wanted to share that because it totally reinvigorated me into what we're doing, like, because it makes a difference to these organizations. And it was amazing to hear their story. So thank you for that. That was Fabric Incubator, the recipients of our last donations. So with that, Beth, I'll let you lead off the presentation of our next nominees for this next funding cycle.
Sure. And I will say that I hadn't gotten a chance to listen to that. And yeah, I feel that's so hard because just a personal side note, I've had a nonprofit located in North Carolina for over a decade now, and I'm not really sure where we're going next because yeah, the nonprofit world is difficult, tricky. It's just a different financing model, but you still have to basically beg for money. So I love hearing from people like that because yes, I believe with some of the small to medium sized nonprofits, you can make a massive difference. I mean, $1,500 is a large amount for a smaller nonprofit. So I will say that. I also do volunteer with Remake. I'm the state chapter lead for the Fabric Act. So I'm working to get that bill passed. I'm doing a lot of random things right now. One of my former board members actually works with Seed to Shirt, and the reason I want to nominate them is because they're focused specifically on Black farmers and makers, and I still feel like the textiles industry is like taking advantage of Black people, people of color, and not necessarily putting money where their mouth is. And also being in North Carolina, there's a huge legacy of like cotton and textiles in this state, and it doesn't it's not swept under the rug that that was based on enslaved labor, and that was a lot of unfair practices in the past. So I think it's about time we pay that back a little bit. And this is like a tiny bit compared to what happened, but Seed to Shirt does great work. They support education and the next generation of farmers, both in Africa and the US. And I can put the link, but you can obviously read things on the website more than I can talk about things. But that's it in a nutshell. Is it education, support, you know, making sure there's certification, all of that stuff, but specifically for Black farmers, which I think is really important because that land was taken away. And I think it's time to give that back.
Amazing. So I will be adding all of the links when we post this video to our YouTube channel. And I've got the link you have up here. Could you give us a better idea of, if we donate to them, what impact will it make on those farmers? Like, do you have any idea how they utilize those funds?
So I think that is something we could like earmark, or we could actually reach out to them specifically because I have that connection with one of the operations people there. And I know they have a pilot farm that's in North Carolina, or they have the verifications that they do, or they have education for like young farmers who want to get into it and don't know how to do that. So I definitely think that that is something where we would reach out to them and be like, this is the specific thing we are interested in supporting. You know, if it's just the 1,500 US farmers that they support, or if it's like the education to the youth, whichever thing it is, it definitely is an ongoing conversation. I feel like both from the personal connections I have, but also from just reaching out to them.
Beautiful. And I'm not trying to grill you, just get a little more
Okay.
information. So reading their website, and again, we'll post a link, it seems like they really do a great job of deep diving into sustainable practices in you know, from the farm upwards with regards to the creation of fashion. Do you know enough to tell us a little bit about the sustainable practices or initiatives that they're currently working with?
So I can tell you based on both what's on the website and the person that I know. So one of the things they mentioned on the website, which is pretty easy to find, is the Climate Beneficial Fiber Partnership. And so one of the issues in terms of like organic cotton and when you're growing it in the US is you have to transition the land. It takes like 3 years like 4 years to actually transition to organic cotton. So my understanding is that some of what they're doing is enabling those farmers to get to that point, because otherwise it's like 3 or 4 years of like lost income and not being able to actually certify that as organic cotton. So that's a big thing. And then to me, sustainability always includes the people element. And I've been a little bit more adamant about that in the past few years after being in this for like 15 years. And so to me, to make things sustainable, you have to bring everybody to the table. You have to bring the people who have been left out. You have to listen to Indigenous voices, people who have done it differently. And especially being in the nonprofit world, it looks very similar to the corporate world. So one of the big reasons I feel like there's sustainability here is that it is a different voice than some of the other nonprofits in the room.
Beautiful. Does anyone else want to have any questions? Jennifer, did you?
I'm trying to dig around on the website. I wish I would have looked at beforehand, and I know these were there, but I was just curious, like they're like a member kind of organization, it seems like, but do they charge their members, or is it like an open access education kind of resource? I'm curious about that. I can't, and it might say on here, I just haven't got that far.
You know, that's a good question, and I can totally figure that out. I mean, let me write that down actually, because I don't totally know the answer to that. In some ways, I feel like the membership might be like a supporting donor membership more than their farmer membership, but I can definitely find that out.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't change my opinion. I was just genuinely curious, like, of what their structure was set up, because it seems
Yeah.
pretty broad, which is great. Would you want to earmark it so that it stays, because it looks like they are split? They've got like their like the US base, and then they have the Africa base. Would you want it to be just in the US so it stays here, or you want it to be kind of spread throughout the organization however they would, need it the most, I guess?
So I have two different answers for that. As a technical executive director, I would be like, here, just take this money. As wanting things to move back to the US and being involved in advocacy and policy there, I probably would prefer that it be focused on US farmers. And I do think that's something that we could discuss with them, or, figure out with the donation before it's given to them. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you, Beth. Beth, is there anything else you wanted to share before we move on? It's a wonderful organization. I appreciate you bringing that to the forefront.
No, I mean, I'm happy to answer any more questions via email and pass them on to people who can answer them better than me. I am trying to get more involved in the grapevine particular thing, because having run the nonprofit for like 15 years, I'm just seeing the impact of where the money goes and communities and what that means. So that's kind of why I'm here right now.
Beautiful. Do you mind if I ask what industry is your nonprofit in?
Yeah, sure. So Redress Raleigh is focused on sustainable fashion and textiles. I've been on sabbatical for like a year and a half. We were heavily event-based, and then I had a kid, and so a lot of reasons it was just like I took a break. And at the same time, I got a lot more involved in like policy, particularly with Remake and the Fabric Act, which is focused on providing a livable wage for workers. Like Garment Workers Center was another thing I mentioned in the text and stuff. But yeah, I am not sure where the place is for the nonprofit that I still run right now, and I am lucky enough to not have to figure that out at this present moment. So I'm kind of using my connections toward policy and harassing lawmakers, because that's really fun.
Well, I asked because, we would love to consider you for future, voting. One, if you're ready to handle that. And then two is the next organization that we're going to present is called Fab Scrap. And I was actually lucky enough to meet with their founder, Jessica. And I'm going to let a recorded video of Jessica herself explain the company. But Grapevine was the one that connected us because we're in similar niche, sustainable fashion. And they've offered to support us in hosting kind of a panel discussion that they'll help advertise for us in the upcoming months. So we're just at the outset of organizing that panel discussion with us and Fab Scrap, and we would love for potentially yourself to represent your organization. And obviously, it's not really about the organizations as much as the broader, sustainable fashion initiatives. So might be something that you're interested to join us on. Whisper in your ear right now, and I would love to hear from you, over the next few weeks if you'd love to take part in something like that.
Yes, I mean that is one of the only things I am still doing is talking to people and doing presentations. And I mean, I've been doing this for about 15 years, and I do have a master's degree in textiles from NC State here in North Carolina. So I do know a lot of things. I'm just hesitant to do a lot of things.
So
But yeah, I'd love to do a panel discussion. Those are some of my favorite things.
Beautiful. I'll loop you in when it's the appropriate time. And Jennifer, the same offer goes to yourself. I very much respect everything that you do, and you are welcome to join any aspect of what we do. You have an open invitation. Okay, so I'm going to now share my screen again, and it's going to be a video of Jessica talking about her organization, Fab Scrap. So again, you guys can see, and then give me again thumbs up if the volume comes through.
Hi, my name is Jessica Schreiber. I'm the founder and CEO of Fab Scrap. We're a nonprofit based in Brooklyn, and we work with the fashion industry to recycle and reuse waste from the design process. So we have about 800 brand partners, and we work with their design offices to collect unused fabric, leather, yarn, and trim. And then we make that available to students and artists and crafters in the creative community around New York City and through our online store, so anywhere in the country, really. And then what we're not able to reuse or redistribute gets recycled and becomes insulation or carpet padding or mattress stuffing. The goal is that we're creating a waste reduction for all of the fashion brands who have their headquarters here, but we're also creating a resource and a community for people who can recycle the material. To date, we've saved over 2 million pounds from landfill, which is very exciting. And we've had about 8,000 people come and volunteer, helping us decide what gets recycled and what can be reused. And we let volunteers take home some fabric for free. So it's a really mutually beneficial system that supports people who need some free fabric and helps us move through material. And that community is growing too. And so any donation, especially during the summer months when we're a little bit slower because people are traveling and school's out, any donation is super meaningful. Our goal this summer is actually to fundraise enough to create some extra space in our warehouse and add more volunteer tables so that we can move through material faster and have more people in who might need fabric. So yeah, that's a little bit about Fab Scrap, and happy to answer any questions. My email is jessica@fabscrap.org.
Yeah, that's me cheering. So, so that's Fab Scrap, and I'm trying to bring this back up. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. And I don't want to repeat everything she just said, but they're doing some amazing things. I love the position they have. It's like in the middle. It's like they connect with lots of big fashion brands to collect the waste or the scraps, fabric. They have an amazing recycling process with all those volunteers. And then they have a distribution side connected to every people that can utilize, in various degrees on the other end. So I have my own upcycle fashion company, so I very much connect with everything they're doing. It's based out of New York. She's not here to answer more questions, but I, again, will share their website, and I strongly encourage people to take a look at it because they're very much, to me, they're at the epicenter of what sustainability is all about. It's a real solution that's decreasing waste, that's creating innovative solutions out of nowhere, right? They don't need all kinds of new infrastructure or or red tape that they're waiting for. They're just doing their thing, and they're making the world a better place because of it. So I strongly encourage people to vote for Fab Scrap. Is a very great option. Any questions? I will do my best to answer, but feel free to ask, and we can go from there if you guys are curious.
They do great work too. I've heard of them over the years as well. I think there's one in North Carolina that's similar, but I was just looking at their website to see if it's a little bit different.
Yeah,
Hard to tell.
they've got a lot of good programs based out of New York, but just doing excellent work. So, and again, Jessica likely will be included in this upcoming panel initiative, so we'll be able to learn more, and just seems like a very well-versed, experienced voice making a difference, and I really respect everything that they've built.
For
So
sure.
the last nominee for this cycle was my own, and it was to renominate Fabric, because I just love everything that after we donated to them, I met with their team and in Zoom, and then we had the podcast, and they're just amazing. Like they've created these small batch solutions for creators, but they're also like organizing these large scale summits that are bringing like scalable solutions to the market, or trying to, and they're struggling because they don't have the finance behind them. But
So
both
tell me more about them. Where are they based?
they're based in Arizona.
Okay.
They're based in Arizona.
Okay. And this will just show that I don't pay attention to much. I went to the website and I totally voted for them because I just loved what I saw in that little glimpse. But tell me more.
Okay, so they're based in Arizona. They're doing all kinds of initiatives, so it's hard to like encapsulate it. Like we had an hour conversation, and so their founders are both experienced entrepreneurs themselves, and so all of the solutions they're bringing to market are bottom up based. Like Angela, their founder, she had her own fashion brand, and she was like, you know, it's really hard for small brands to do things sustainably because you kind of have to lock in these large unit orders with the factories, and if you get one detail wrong, you're screwed. And sometimes you have all your details right, and if the factory screws up a measurement, you're screwed still. Like they don't take ownership of it. They're just like, oh, like, you know, we instead of an inch, it was a centimeter. Like a measurement was wrong, and it screws everything up, and it puts small brands out of business. So she went to Arizona and she tried to figure out a way that small brands could be supported all the way through without having to go through large batch waste and cost not determinants, but issues that would push them out of the market. And she found that if you're outside of LA or New York, the resources just aren't there for you for like pattern makers and all of the 30 to 50 people and processes you need along the way. So she has tried to and is creating tech-based solutions to help anyone get their brand off the ground, allowing you to take orders in before products are made, allowing you to make products one at a time based on their tech solutions, to keep things sustainable and manageable for small brands, and then help you scale and go to market and prepare you to be successful at, you know, with larger factory orders and tech stacks and all that kind of thing. So they're really supporting small brands in their processes, which I love, and which was my understanding last time. Now I've learned it's like they're coordinating with all these big players. How can we actually bring scalable circular solutions to market, like real circular solutions, because they do exist, through technology and through collaboration. So what they've explained to me, and really how I'm going to introduce them in this one, is I'm just going to show a clip of our video Zoom call where Angela walks me through their office. So you can kind of see what's in their office, some of the technology they're using, and I think that'll be a good continued education for what they're doing, and then I'll do my best to answer any questions after that. That's okay. So one more time, I'm going to share my screen. Give me a second. Okay. Oh, here.
See back here are actually going to match up when you sew it together. So this is that. And then I'll take you really quickly into our pop-up showroom, which is, it's got a few examples of what I've been talking about with the printing and some of the products that we've been making. So this is the showroom. So for example, this right here is a coat made out of cactus leather. And so you can see that print. So our team designed the pattern and the print. The designer sent us images of flowers that she actually pressed. And then we organized those prints into the shapes of the patterns. And then when we print it on the printer, we're printing the sleeve, we're printing the back, we're printing the belt, we're printing the front. And you can embed the print where you want it. But before you do that, you see it on an avatar to make sure that everything is matching up perfectly so that, you know, all the seams like you see back here are actually going to match up when you sew it together. So this is really advanced technology. And then to be able to print it on this carbon positive fabric is, you know, the whole next level. And then to offer your product in different prints in limited drops is what's adding the value that's needed so that they can charge a fair, you know, a price that is going to be, it's obviously going to be a more expensive product than a fast fashion, you know, product. So having that value is really important. And then an example that we did for PVH, this is that supply chain of the future example, same thing. So this is the sewn seam, you can see that. And this is how you can't even tell that there's a seam right here. So that's what we can do with engineered print design. So you can basically take your garment to canvas for whatever art. And this amazing. So everybody got this is also says in NFT. So they have this as a digital twin as well. Wow. Here's some upcycled banners we made for the Final Four into notebooks. And for the Super Bowl. And for the Super Bowl, we made their banners into bags. So we do all kinds of upcycled projects too. Sherry actually has her own collection too. So there's an example of her taking that printer and using that to create an engineered print.
So you get an idea that they're doing all kinds of stuff. And it's all like, it's kind of at the forefront. Like they have real solutions that if they can go to market and scale, fashion can become sustainable. You know what I mean? So I just love their mission. I love their small vision and their big vision. So that is my nomination for this round. Any questions? I'll do my best.
I'm curious how big they are, because I know in her interview that you shared, like they mentioned that it helped fill their payroll gap that they had. Like how many like paid staff do they have, or do they have volunteers there that help support? Or I don't know if you know that, but that's something I was curious about.
I don't know, so I'm going to guess. I think they do have a full-time staff. I've spoken to a couple of the different members, so I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 people full-time. They probably have some volunteers as well. I know that their big initiative that they're trying to raise $75,000 to really launch this like circular solution enterprise. I'm not saying it very well. Like, it's still in the works, but like they mentioned several times, $75,000 is really what they need to support this big vision and hopefully connect with the right big time organizations, which they can like partner with, like a small fish on a big whale and bring that to market. Like if they could just get a invested corporation, the changes they've done the like technology development part. They just need to get someone to believe in them and bring it to market. So I would love to help them try to raise that 75,000. I actually love all of the organizations, all three of them are fantastic. So we're in good hands either way, but I was just really inspired to help them on their journey. So I'm sorry I don't have more specifics on that, but
It's okay. It's hard to have specifics unless you're literally in the nonprofit.
right, right. Any other questions? Beth, Jennifer?
No, but I probably need to sign off to say goodnight to the little one and such.
Great time. I think this is a great time. We've got our nominees. I'll post this video. I'll post all the links and we'll vote. We have 1 week to vote. So this time next Wednesday, and it's a win-win-win.
It really is. Yeah.
Sounds great. Thanks for your work and putting it together.
No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you both for showing up. And yeah, and Beth, I'll reach out to you over the next couple of weeks about the panel.
Okay, sounds great.
Okay. Thank you so
Take
much.
care, you both.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.